Makes perfect sense, man. Perfect sense. Just a quick one, man. You have done these things before. The background bit, obviously, kind of. What's the best way of going about it? Should I just blur it, or should I just? How do you go about it?
Yeah, I would leave it. I would leave it because it's part of your daily work,
That's
right?
good, man.
And
True.
I think that I think when we are using, I just blurred a little bit because we have some information here that doesn't need to
That's
go
fine.
outside.
Fair point.
But I think that if I was at home, I would
Yep.
not be blurring because this is type of the environment. There are some family stuff there. There's always an element that will draw
Yes,
attention,
I
right?
agree.
So I leave like purposefully my guitar on the back. I leave a
Nice.
couple of books, diverse range of books.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's
So
brilliant.
miniature from Egypt. I have never been there, but I want to. The globe and
Yep.
some other stuff. So there are different elements that would draw
Perfect.
attention from different individuals, and
Nice.
it's kind of psychologically you are creating a connection with them
I
without even
totally
without
agree.
saying anything.
Look, I totally agree. And I've just moved into this flat, so we are still setting it up. So that's why I haven't been able to find that wall behind me. But
Yeah,
in the previous flat, we had this kind of thing on the top where we had stuff that we had collected from everywhere. Now it's in this cupboard that you see over here,
yeah,
so it's not
yeah,
very visible. We are just trying to still set things up. But hopefully, anyway.
yeah. No, no. I think that it looks great.
Hey, that's what.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. And when did you move into this flat?
1st of March, but then I was on
First of March.
sabbatical, so I was traveling a bit. So still setting it up. We got a lot of things off Facebook Marketplace, a lot of
Yeah,
thrifting.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah,
had a budget of about 5,000 to set up the whole flat. We got that in pretty much in 1,500 pounds or something,
yeah, yeah,
including
yeah,
all the effort to go and bring stuff in.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's been great. It's been great, man.
Yeah, well, fantastic.
That's
I'm
good.
I'm really I'm really 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 happy for you.
Hey,
And
thanks, man. A great
I think
post, man, on LinkedIn. Great post.
which one for the one I
The
said
the
yesterday?
Sunday one. The
Yeah,
Sunday
yeah,
one. Yeah, yeah, the
yeah,
yesterday one.
yeah, yeah. You see, I'm darker now because of the sun. It took me nearly 4 hours to do the whole thing, and he was there the whole
Yep.
time,
Yep.
helping me,
Yep.
and yeah, I think that I I I was reflecting before posting because you never know how people are going to react. And but I try I don't try to sell myself. I never try to do it. I
Yep.
just try to share things that I believe,
Yep.
and I think that's what I intended to do.
Nice.
And I have other plans for the future, but this is kind of a topic that I want to. Um, I read you know that the book that you were there at you were not, yeah, you were, of course you were on the day out or the day away day,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and the 7 habits.
Yep.
I read that book every year, and
Nice.
yeah, I read that book every year, and I've been practicing all the different habits that you have there, and it's unbelievably difficult. And the author talks about a story on how he helped his son create ownership of a few tasks,
Yep.
and he's talking about the garden. And funny thing is that his son also wrote a book, and his son talks about that story, but from his
Fucking
perspective.
good.
Yeah,
That's
it's
brilliant.
really nice. It's really nice. So
You
yeah,
fucking give me so many ideas, Andre. So
yeah,
one thing, so again, I'm a fan of that book as well, and I haven't read it every year, but have read it a
yeah,
few times in the
yeah,
past.
yeah, yeah,
And you're right. A lot of the learnings can be seen in your daily life, and you could work on that. You should do a you should actually have chats with someone. Like for example, hey, let's discuss the habits of the 7 habits of highly
yeah,
effective people, and see
yeah,
how you have inculcated some of those things, and that could be a whole series in itself.
yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
hell, that's
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I think that you know what? We agreed to talk about the issues that we see in manufacturing organizations, and I think that they are all in line with what we have just started
Yep.
talking about here, in terms of what are the habits that make us more effective.
Yep.
Because I think that we see that on the personal side, but the individuals that I really see doing good are
Yep.
doing that not only the personal but also on the professional side, and
Yep.
you see consistency on their behaviors, on their values, and the principles that they what they say in the company, what they write on the walls of the company, and also how they behave on a daily basis. And
Yep.
I think that we share this point of view based on what we have just started discussing here. And just out of curiosity, how did you came across the book?
It was it was probably during my MBA days back in
Okay.
during mid 2000s kind of thing, when this book was really taking everything by storm. And somebody suggested it's an interesting book to read and great. And that was all that lot of noise around this book.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great. Just kind of got a copy of my library and had a read through it. I think he also came up with the eighth habit after that.
Okay.
So again, that was again a very, very good one. But yeah, that's when I read it for the first time. Been good 20 years, man.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. That's very very interesting. And what would has it had any impact on you?
I think it has had a few times, actually, I would say.
Mm.
So many times it just happens that whenever I feel like things are not going on track, I do tend to pick up the book and see that, okay, what am I missing? What can I do to kind of make things better?
Yeah.
Like, for example, about 8 months ago, or a year ago, a lot of things were happening in my personal life and also in the professional life. I've taken up a new role, but more importantly, you would remember one of our colleagues, Gavin Young, he sadly passed away around that time as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And a lot of things were impacting me at that point, and
Okay.
I just felt like I'm not actually hitting the mark that I should be. And then
Yeah.
all those questions started coming together: that why am I doing this thing? Am I doing the right thing? I know I'm not being true to my workplace because I'm not bringing my 100% to the work. Same
Yeah.
thing happening with my personal life, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
I thought that let me kind of take a step back, just rebuild the entire castle from ground up again. And I started looking into things, and things like putting first things first, kind of prioritizing things and
Yeah.
those kinds
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
things. So it became an important element for me. And that led to the whole decision of actually taking a sabbatical to
Hmm.
start with.
Yeah.
Then there were some elements about my relationships with others, which were getting impacted due to multiple reasons over the last
Yeah.
20 years, for that matter. So again, started looking into things like kind of try to listen first and understand others first before kind
Yeah.
of making a move, kind of thing. So those kinds of things started coming into play pretty strongly. But I think one of the key elements which I've tried to take away from it, and I always kind of sidetrack on that, but I need to kind of pull myself back, is always start with that outcome in mind kind of thing,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you also
Yeah.
referred to in your blog
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that post that you have. And I think that's something which is an important one, and one needs to kind of revisit that every task we are getting into, to be honest.
Yeah.
So anyway, that'll be a few
Yeah. Yeah.
things.
Yeah. I think that that one is it might be the first one rule for me.
Yep.
Start with the end in mind, and that has helped me so much, but so much. And also the that's in line with the game theory.
Yep. True.
I absolutely love that. And I always try to think, let's say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, and
Yep.
just have a kind of a conversation with myself. So
Yep.
Andre, from 50-year-old Andre, 60-year-old Andre, where are you, and what have you done to get there? Because I
Yep.
think that if I stand where I am now and try to define what I'm going to do, there are so many different options,
Yep.
so many different things that I could potentially be doing with the resources that I have. But there is only one thing that will take me to where I want to be. And
Right.
this, if I have a conversation with myself from the future, he already did that and he followed just one thing. So for me, it's like and that I think that it goes in line with focus on the things that you have control and influence. All the other ones you just completely ignore. And I think that having this conversation is it makes things easier for me to decide the things that I'm going to be focusing, but also the things that I will say no. And initially it was quite difficult for
Yes.
me, but yeah, I think that is still very difficult because I'm having to say no to people that I love,
Yep.
and really having a open conversation with my wife in terms of what is the future that we want and how we are going to get there together. And I would spend years and years focused on the task, but I can't really expect and put the same stress on the people that I love.
Very
So
true.
I think that these two are the most powerful for me, and also the one that you said there, put right first things first,
First things first,
and
right?
yeah, and because it's unbelievably also difficult to do the things that are necessary to do and avoid procrastination. So I think that it's really, really, really powerful habits
True.
that are not so easily done.
Yep.
But if and I don't know how many years now, but I've been following this throughout my career. And since I was back in Brazil, that might be a topic for another conversation because I think that we may spend the whole day just talking about that.
I know, I
Uh,
know,
yeah,
I know. I was, just if I can, 2 minutes away from our topic, and I was reading. I came across Stephen Bartlett. Obviously, everybody has come
yeah,
across Stephen
yeah, yeah,
Bartlett, and I came across his book, Diary of a CEO, and
yeah,
started reading about it. A few things which I'm like, okay, question mark, but many things he does sound reasonable and has
yeah,
some
yeah,
really good things to say. But
yeah,
one thing that he has done brilliantly well, I think that's his marketing mind coming into play, is after writing the book, he came up with a journal where
yeah,
which kind of helps you inculcate some of the habits that he speaks in Diary of a CEO, which I thought was brilliant. And then it got me thinking that I think Covey missed a huge opportunity there. Because one thing is to talk about the 7 habits and the eighth habit, which people read and say, yep, this is interesting, we should do that. But
yeah,
many people don't even get around doing it.
yeah.
But how to actually go about it? What are the toolkits around it that people can use to kind of inculcate the good habits around those thought processes? I think that's a huge thing that Covey has missed the trick on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely, definitely. And I can share the way that I do. For me, there are only three things that I'm always doing. So
Right.
only three things. I don't do anything more than three, and it's related to my family, family first, then my self-development. So I'm always, and self-development might be reading books or exercising. So I need to do that. I do that every day, every day.
Nice.
And the third one is I need to provide for my family, right? In terms of resources, and anything that doesn't fall in between this, I just don't do. And when how I started was it's if I think I don't do anything motivated. I don't expect to get motivated to do things, but I think that when you are unsure how to start, motivation helps, and but motivation doesn't last long. So you need to break down the things that you want to do,
Yeah.
and the way that I did that, I break it down into 3 months. So what is it that I can do in 3 months? And it was very simple. It was just to buy something. But it was ages ago. And from where I come from, buying something, it's not the community that I was coming from. It was not something that it was easily done. And then
Agreed.
when I got that,
Likewise.
said, okay, I did it, right? And what else can I do? And then I started expanding that 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10, 20 years. Now I'm looking ahead 20 years, what I want to do, but it's not really about the destination, but what you are going to be doing on a daily
Thinking about it.
basis. So this is basically the process that I went through. But no, every year I choose one thing to focus on in terms of my self-development. For the past few years, I've been focused in one specific topic,
Yep.
and when we start with the end in mind, it helps us prioritize in terms of the skills and competences that we can
Very true.
develop.
Very
And
true.
I use that, so I have like a ladder that I go year by year on the skills that I need to develop, because you don't have much time. You have your family,
Agree.
you have the development, and you have all the other stuff that you have to do. And if you don't focus on the thing that you want most, you are going to be kind of diluted and not to see the benefits of the effort that you are putting to that task. And
True.
when you are very focused and you have your family, your wife, and your partner also focus on delivering that, so it's kind of you are aligned. All the elements that you have on your life are kind of complementary and supporting one
You're
another.
absolutely right. It's
So
true.
yeah, yeah. So this is, oh, just switch off the light, but I think that you can still see me
I can
here.
certainly.
Uh, so, Yeah, and but you know what? It was very difficult for me at the beginning, and what helped me was talking to people that had more experience. And in my situation was with my godfather. My godfather helped me realize or realign the direction that I could have in my life. And talking to, I think that there are different ways for you to acquire experience, and I always try to talk to other individuals, because then I'm not only learning the things that worked for them, but also the things that didn't. And looking at books, reading, also trying to understand different ways that I could improve. But also there's also the experience, right? You go on sabbatical, you do different things, you are living that, but the amount of energy and resources required to do that, that not everybody could afford to do
I
it,
agree,
right?
totally agree.
So but everybody can have a conversation with someone, and this is kind of the process that I follow through.
No, I think that's very wise, man. Very, very wise. And definitely we should pick that up as a different conversation as well at some point, because I think there are quite a few tools that you mentioned, quite a ways of going that you mentioned, which I would really, really kind of want to inculcate in the way I'm going about things. I think we do share a lot of things about how we have come across kind of thing, kind of come up in life, and the kind of communities, kind of areas we have come through. We both have been immigrants, kind of trying to build our life. It has its own set of challenges, but it has its own set of motivations.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot on that, and definitely something I'd like to pick up with you again on that.
No, no, definitely, definitely. And you know what? Um, we said that we were going to be talking about the issues that or problems that we see in organizations that are driving poor profitability. And I think that this is a fantastic topic. I absolutely love it, and we still have time to talk about that.
Yes.
But also, I think that on the personal side, because not everybody sees these, right? They see Gopal and they see Andre very formal on the shop floor
Yep.
or in the offices,
Yep.
having very formal conversations. And I think that this is also something that I discussed with Jeremy, because we all have kind of our own history, our own backgrounds, and
We do.
different ways for us to cope with the reality, right? And there are so much and so there are so many different learnings that I would get from you, and also vice versa, and
I
also
would
other
agree with that. Yeah.
individuals out there. So I think that we can and a suggestion that I would make is for us to talk more about
Yep.
this, and we can still talk about the productivity, we can still talk about the issues in the industry, but I think that in the end of the day, this is the byproduct of the person
It
that you are.
definitely is, Andre.
Yeah,
And for me, both the things are quite related, quite linked, if not
yeah,
directly as people see it, but
yeah,
inherently they are. Because while one, that's who we are and how we go about things on a personal life, they define us. They give us the strength to be vulnerable. I know that
yeah,
sounds like an oxymoron then, but I've
yeah,
always believed that more vulnerable I seem to people around me, more happy people are to connect with me. And
yeah,
that's what we need at the end of the day, connecting with people and making sure we are able to fight this fight together, kind of thing, right?
yeah,
I shouldn't be using the word fight over here, but because it's a journey, but you get the
mhm,
point. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's something which is very important for me. And I think that's what defines the kind of the self that we bring to work when we kind of align professionally. And to be honest, I think it's quite easy to say that, oh, that's my professional life, this is my personal life, but it's so difficult to make that. And I don't think it's even important to make that, because for me, it has always worked when I've got my personal life in there, the relationships I've developed with you, with Jeremy, with a lot of people in at work. It's a personal bit which makes a relationship. The professional bit, dude, everyone who is around us, they are there because they do a good job, they do a great job, they are motivated to do great. But that's not enough to kind of make that connection to kind of work as a team. It's always important to bring that personal stuff there. So, dude, very, very happy to have those conversations. I think those are the conversations which would define us and define how we are going to be next 20, 30, 40 years and beyond, maybe. But yeah, that's all you have.
yeah, fantastic. And what would be your advice for someone that is still struggle to live kind of authentically, both in work and outside of work. And let me give you a little bit of context because I have written about this, oh God, 5 or 6 years ago. And it was motivated by a conversation that I had with someone. They said that they felt like they had to wear a mask when they were going to work. And once they finish work, they remove that mask, and it had some consequences and stressful situations for that individual. So what would be your advice to someone that is going through this type of situation?
Gosh, if I had an answer for that, dude, that would have been amazing. But then, what I could definitely share, Andre, is what I try to do. Sometimes they work, sometimes they put additional pressure, which had another problems. But what I like doing is good, trust the environment. So for me, one of the reasons which was keeping me from bringing my true self to work and to other places was the need that I felt that I need to project myself in a certain way and
Yeah,
form. Now, that's fine. That happens at times. If you're in a new environment, you would want to project away. Maybe you are scarred by some of your previous experiences where you have kind of gone into an environment where, look, probably it's not the right thing to do and kind of thing, right? But for me, every day, every relationship is like, okay, let me just bring myself onto it and just trust the environment. Now, that's a 50-50 chance, right? Either that's going to work for you or it's not going to work for you. Like if I just put it at a high level, I know a lot of probability gurus are going to question that, oh, it's not a 50-50 chance. But then let's work with the thing that it might work, it might not work. But then when it doesn't work, I believe that we all have a kind of a support system which helps us cope up with that frustration. And it helps us just understand when it doesn't work, it just helps us understand the environment that we are trying to fit into or trying to get into, kind of thing. I don't think fitting in is a bad word. Many people do say that because at the end of the day, you are trying to fit in because you have chosen to make yourself work in a particular environment because you felt that's the right thing for you. So you're already fitted in. So you don't have to do extra effort on it. But
yeah,
then just trust the environment. Worst case, it's not going to work and you're going to try a different way of going about it. But it shouldn't stop you from bringing your authentic self out there. It
yeah,
definitely helps you reduce pressure. But then again, as I said, trust the environment and trust your support system to kind of get you through that. Until the point you can trust those through, I think the self belief that you have on yourself, probably that's a nice triangle, right? Probably the self belief that is just be calm, that that's going to take you through any kind of problems that you might have.
yeah.
So that would be my only say. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know if that is the kind of ultimate kind of right answer to it, but
Hmm.
I'm hoping that that's going to work for me for long term.
Oh no, definitely. I think that I picked up on a few things that you said there. Um, I absolutely share both values that you mentioned there in terms of vulnerability and trust. Vulnerability is, I think that is extremely powerful, but it's also extremely difficult to demonstrate vulnerability depending on the environment that you are in. If you don't have the trust and a psychologically, if you're not in a psychological safe environment, it's very difficult for you to demonstrate that you don't have a given competence to do some work, and it's very difficult to open up and say openly, "Hey, I need help," or I think that it's very difficult if you are working as a team, as a unit, to not be vulnerable, because I think that you need to have this type of openness to accelerate the delivery that you can do as a team. And
Agree.
I think that if you, there's just one thing that I have a slightly different view. I do agree on the fit in, and I think that if you have trust and if you have respect for one another, you can have an environment where you belong. Um, so I think that this is unbelievably difficult, right?
Yes, man,
To
it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Even
And
even in
especially,
small teams, right?
no, it is. And like, for example, if I can just take an example from 4C and how we are going about it, at least how I kind of got exposed to some of these things. So when I went for sabbatical, the supply chain team, we had a much smaller group. We had a much more focused agenda, and I was quite fortunate enough to lead it. And I had my own plans around it, and that was going great. Now I've come back. There are two really capable people who have come in, awesome people in Erica and Robin, who are kind of, so we are kind of co-leading the whole thing in a way as it goes, kind of thing. And I know that between the three of us, we are much stronger because the kind of skill sets we bring together. Erica comes from really, really great experience from her previous jobs. Robin has picked up great experience in his own journey, and I think together we are in a very, very good position to kind of make really, really good things happen for our clients. But when I step back, I'm like, okay, what happened over here? Because my responsibilities and my roles were definitely changing.
Yeah.
That's the smaller issue. The bigger issue was for me to kind of expand my own horizons and make sure that I am creating an environment where, or I don't create an environment where I create where they can't trust me from what I'm trying to do. And I know that more I can trust them, more I can trust the environment and the evolution which is happening within the team. It would just make us kind of do great things. Now, my IQ has always said that it's a great thing. We are awesome together. And that was the easy part onto it. And that's where people mainly focus. The
Yeah.
EQ part of it, that was taking a punt. Then said, oh shit, okay, what do I do? What do I make sure that I don't step on their toes, but I have my own goals to put up? So I think that was a bit of a trade-off coming in. And it took a few days for me to come to terms that both those things would actually work together very, very well. So if I trust them and if I make sure that there are avenues that I'm not pushing them away from what I'm doing, it just makes it easier to do my job. And for my clients, it's easier for me to bring a much stronger entity onto the table.
Yeah.
So that's a personal thing that I was going through. I'm feeling much more happier now because now that I know that that's there and I can trust people around me and I can trust myself and my own instincts on it. But I think that has been a big, big journey for me in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that it's fantastic, fantastic story, Gopal. And thank you very much for sharing it. I do share the same view that you just shared with me here. And I'm just thinking that we touched on so many different
We
topics in
did.
such a short period of time. What I would suggest is I'll go through. I took a lot of notes here because I think that there are a few values there, and also we touched in terms of the habits and creating a safe environment for everybody where they can be vulnerable. There are a few other values that I try to live at least, and I would add kindness there. Um, so I think that for me is kindness, vulnerability, respect for people, and because then you can have an environment where you can be candid and open to all the individuals, where it's not the highest rank that have a say, but the best idea, and the best idea might be coming from places that you have no idea.
Yeah, for that matter. Yeah.
So what I would suggest is we can still have a conversation about profitability that we said. Yeah, because that's a hot topic, specifically because we are now in a moment where large organizations have they are going through their budgeting process. They might have issues in terms of aligning operations and finance and supply chain and sales, and know how to prioritize these activities. But I think that it's I'm just conscious of the time and the length of the video. What I would suggest is for us to kind of have a series of conversations, just like the
Yep.
one that we just had,
Yep.
and yeah, we can share that on social media. We can share that with other individuals.
Makes sense.
Can come from your account, can come from mine, and make it as personable and authentic as possible.
Yep.
Because I think that one thing that you said there in terms of projecting yourself, when I started consulting, I put so much pressure on my shoulders, and now I realize that I was doing that, and it didn't really need to do that. And I think that I kind of moved away from you need to be an expert to you need to understand the problems that they are going through. And when you just when you focus on understanding the other, there's no pressure, right? There's absolutely no pressure. And I think that we can kind of have multiple conversations, record them if you're okay, just like we recorded this,
Yep.
and we can share, because there are so many people asking, Andrea, can you share the conversations that you had with these individuals? Because I think that there are some value there. And we can definitely. Well, it's not the diary of Gopal, the diary of Andre, but it's definitely something that we can do together to help others.
I think that makes perfect sense, man. And I think another point that we should pick up is we did talk about the person who's stepping into that environment. We
Yeah.
spoke of the kindness, the values, the vulnerability, and all the traits that could help that individual kind of shine in their own rights. I think that's another angle to it around the environment itself, because again, like yourself from the consulting side of things, and I think all the people who end up viewing and listening to what we are talking today would agree to an extent, is the fact that in consulting side of things, there is an expectation that when you're kind of stepping in, you're actually going through the drill, you're actually putting those kind of that effort in there to make sure that as you grow up the ladder, when you reach a particularly senior position, you have
Hmm.
evolved as an SME, you have evolved as someone whom the client is going to pay for. And I don't think there's nothing wrong in the expectation of gaining that SME status. I think that's
Hmm.
entirely fine. I think we can do better going forward to create an environment which kind of is more conducive, which actually allows people to kind of bring their vulnerability out there. They are not kind of put down for that. So, for example, right now, I a part of me still feels that, oh, you know what, a person has just stepped into the industry, they really need to kind of put those long hours, talk to people, understand what's going on, because that's the drill we went through. But then I think we have a great opportunity between us to kind of question that and kind of disrupt that particular thinking, that
Yeah.
can the organization put some of those control measures in place so that the individual who has stepped in doesn't feel that exposed at every point in time. They still have that motivation to kind of go through, but it's a I don't want to talk about carrots and sticks over here, because I think
Yeah.
that defeats the purpose in a lot of. And I know you in your daily life when you do all those continuous improvement bits with a lot of at the shop floor. I think you also kind of might be bringing some of those things in place, but
Mhm.
having some of those control measures in there, which makes sure that look, yeah, I'm there, and doesn't mean that I need to put 12 hours in place, but I have the motivation and I still need to push things through. So these are the right ways to go about it. I don't know what the exact answer would be for that,
Yeah.
but I think we have a great opportunity kind of between ourselves to debate that and come up with a view that how can we disrupt the environment to make sure that people are more conducive, that it's more conducive for people in
Yeah.
individuals to come in and be vulnerable, be
Yeah.
themselves, and
Yeah.
be happy.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I have a view on that,
Mm.
and I can share the next time that
Please,
we
please.
have a
Yeah,
conversation.
fair point.
It might be a topic for maybe another 10 conversations.
It's not a problem you're going to solve in one
No,
conversation.
no,
Not
no,
gonna
no,
happen.
no, no, not at all. But I think that I'm a strong believer in a cause, and I think that people do things because they believe in something, and I think that if we have this connection, because we are sharing the things that we believe, right? The things that we value dearly. There will be a lot of people that are going to resonate with this,
Yeah,
and I do believe that we got a lot of things right in the industry, but we get massive amount of things wrong, and I fully sign on what you have just said in terms of disrupting this, and I do think that we can do something about it that many people are going to benefit definitely.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, all right, fantastic. So yeah, it was great talking with you, Gopal.
Like that,
Yeah,
we
uh,
never touched upon profitability, did we?
no. Oh, now the light
The
is back.
lights back.
Yeah. Which is, I think that which is good, which is good. And I'll just okay. So I think I'm just thinking how to stop this, but it's okay.
No,
Yeah. So I'll just
I
I'll
think,
just I'll
I
just
think one of the thing that probably worth adding to it, one very last bit from my side, when we talk about the outcome, the entire kind of the reason for a supply chain or reason for an operation, whatever, right? We do talk about cost, we talk about profitability, we talk about customer service, we talk about sustainability and everything around it, right? But for me, one big takeaway for me over the life has been that the ultimate aim of having a good supply chain, if I can borrow a bit of theory out there, is to make sure that the people who are around it are eventually happy. Now, that people said, we do talk a lot on the customer side and the supplier side at times, more on the customer side, less on supplier side many times, wrongly so. But I think that involves everyone around it. And I think that same definition can be taken for any organization. We talk a lot on the shareholder value,
Mhm.
stakeholder values, but I think a huge shareholder group is the employees and the
Yeah,
people who are actually delivering that service. It's you,
yeah,
it's me, it's the people around us.
yeah.
Until the point we can find ways to make them happy, I think that's a huge tick. If we have not managed to make them happy, I think the organization has still failed, regardless of what profitability targets we are able to hit.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah,
that's where
no,
my thought would be.
I agree. And I was going to say funny enough, but it's not so funny. It's kind of you see all these theories in the book about different layers in the organization and the miscommunication that happens across vertically and horizontally in these companies, and things that I've noticed lately, lately, I mean, possibly the past 5 years or 10 years, is that one thing that I try to do when I'm doing these type of assessments is talk with the leaders of the company, listen to the history of the organization, trying to understand merger and acquisitions, how they got to the place where they are at the moment, and also the individual, what is the history of that person, because I think that it all contributes. And then I try to see how that message that that person said is permeating across the organization. And then you have conversations with the middle managers and the guys and girls on the shop floor. And one thing that I noticed recently was that it's across industries, different regions in Europe, and they were saying that they had issues with rotation, attrition, a lot of turnover of employees, and the reason that I heard from the senior leaders were that they were leaving because of salary. There was a lot of competition. There was a lot of different companies, not only from the same industry, but also from retail, from distribution, and so on and so forth. And when I started talking with the guys and girls in the middle of the company, they were saying that we do have development plan for all the different employees that are joining the company. They went through this, and it's working. It's very robust, and everybody is pleased with that. So the only thing that I can say that they are leaving is because of the salary, because we can't really pay for the salary that is competitive here in the region. And then when I was talking to the guys and girls on the shop floor, nobody, absolutely nobody talked about salary.
Wow.
Nobody. They were talking about the development. There was no opportunity. And I said, "Oh, but what was when you joined the company? How was your onboarding process?" I said, "What?" And it's there. So there is a disconnect between what is said on the board, and I think that this is by the book, right? Something that we see in multiple cases, and this is still happening. And I think that this is something that we can discuss, because I do have my view on why these things are happening. I spent a lot of time researching on that topic, so I think that we can absolutely approach this, because I think that it goes back to what we were discussing about the principles and what you are trying to create in terms of the belief and also the environment in the organization. It's kind of a sandwich that you go from the top and also
It
from the
totally
bottom.
is. No, it's totally is. And I think both of us have been quite fortunate to have had so many examples from our work life, which kind
Yeah.
of fit very well into those areas. And I totally see where you're coming from on that. And
Mhm.
it's quite strange that even in this day and age where people have a way of reaching out to their employees, there are ways and tools, but they have not been utilized in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Pointing the finger at the senior management or the lower management on this one, but then I think just that the environment has not been conducive goes back to our previous point about how do we make sure that we take people on the journey and
Yeah.
make their life easier, essentially. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. So I think that we have multiple things now to talk about. You know
Yeah.
what? I'll be the maybe next time that we can talk is middle of July. I'll be traveling, but I would love to call you from the place that I'll be.
That'd
I'll
be
probably,
great. That'd be
yeah, I'll
great.
probably be having a Heineken, a cold Heineken. It's my
Yep.
favorite beer. So I think that we can have a call next month.
Actually, that's funny that you mentioned that because mid of July, I'm traveling to one of the ports over here where
Okay.
they have gone kind of leaps and bounds on setting up some really interesting operations. So I'm with the DP World on the 17th, I believe, and around that time in the London Gateway side of things, and they have done some amazing work in that area. So
Mhm.
probably that would be a great place to kind of take a call from, to be honest,
Uh-huh.
because again it would feel like you're on the ground trying to kind of bring some of those that energy into the mix as well, if I can put it
Mhm.
that way. That'd be great,
Okay.
man.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, yeah. It was great talking with you,
Thank you,
Gopal.
Sandeep.
I really appreciate you taking the time and also sharing with me your view because I'm absolutely learning and I love learning from you. You are someone that has a fantastic capability and I'm always looking forward to learn more from you, mate.
And it's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure, and you know what? Likewise, because the kind of work that you have been going through, kind of you have been putting onto the table over the last year and 2 years, kind of thing, and also some of your personal life bit. I think it's quite inspirational. So I've been very a big fan of you on this perspective,
Yeah.
from what how much ever I've known you, and look, really enjoyed the chat today, and really looking forward to our future chats.
Okay, or fantastic. Right. Have a good one, mate.
Cheers, Andre. Take
All
care,
right,
man.
cheers.
Bye.
Bye bye.